Hi Math 6-5. This is the video for lesson 104, which is scheduled for April 2nd. And as a reminder, our week 9 homework, which includes 104, 105, and 106, which is what the videos I'll post for today. This homework is due Monday, April 6th. So you can have your parents text or email or attach it in Google Classroom. Whatever works easiest for them. All I need is the signed and completed assignment sheet. Okay, so I'm going to get started on lesson 104. And as I was reviewing 104, I kept thinking, we've done this already, but we haven't. What lesson 104 is really, really similar to what we learned in lesson 101. 101 covered mixed numbers and rounding them to the nearest whole number. So what lesson 104 does is it rounds decimal numbers to the nearest whole number. So that's why I kept thinking we've done this already. But we haven't. We've done something very similar. Excuse me. So we're dealing with rounding or estimating. They're very closely related. So if just like we did in 101, we're going to use the number line to help us round for the first few. And then once you get the hang of it, you don't have to use a number line at all. So if we have a problem asking us to round to the nearest dollar, and my amount is $112.89, the first thing I need to look at is which digit of these is what I'm rounding to. So I need to find my dollar. So this, the 2, is my dollar amount. So I need to look to the right of the 2, which would be the 8, and that's going to determine what I do with my rounding. But first, let's put it on a number line. So I know that I'm past $112 on the number line, so I can put that down. Can y'all see that color? Maybe not. Let me try back to purple. And the next whole number, because I'm rounding to the nearest dollar, would be 113. Let me write over that so that's easier to see. Okay, so I know that this number, $112.89, is somewhere between 112 and 113. So I'm going to break it into 10-cent intervals, or tenths. So I'm going to put in 6, 7, 8, 9, and this is my tenth. So I broke it into tenths, and so each of these would be 10 cents. So this would be $112.10, 20 cents, 30 cents, 40 cents, 50 cents. So I'm going to put that there. That would be 50 cents, 60 cents, 70 cents, 80 cents. So I know that's 80 cents right there. Let me make this, let's see, 60, 70, 80 cents right there. So that means this one here is 90 cents. So I know that 89 cents, $112.89 is gonna fall about right there. Let me see, I need to zoom in a little to show you, okay? So I know that I'll fall about right here. So if I'm rounding to the nearest dollar, and this is my mark right here, I can look at it and say, is it closer to 112 or is it closer to $113? And in this case, it's much closer to $113. So if I'm going to round $112.89 to the nearest dollar, it is going to round to $113 because it's much closer to that one. Okay, the other way to do this problem is to look at the digits 112.89 and know that I'm rounding to my nearest dollar. This again is my dollar. And then I have to look to the right to my 8. And remember, if this digit is 5 or higher, you round up. If it's less than 5, you let it stay at 112. So 8 is 5 or higher, so I would round this one to 113. So that's both ways to do it. Let me zoom out a little bit so you can see both ways. You can use the number line if you need to do that, or you can just look to the digits, find the digit you're rounding, which is the dollars digit, the dollars place value, and find the place value to the right, 5 or higher, round up, less than 5, let it stay. 5 or less, let it rest, I believe is the joke. Wait, it's not 5 or less, 5 and up. Well, I'm gonna mess that up. But if it's less than 5, let it stay at this number. There's a cute rhyme that I am likely to mess up, so I'm not gonna confuse anybody. Okay, so let's look down at what our next problem would be. Remember, we did this also with our mixed numbers, same principle. Now we're just working with decimals, okay? We used the number line to do it with our mixed numbers too. Round each decimal to the nearest whole number. So let's look at our first one. 12 and 36/100ths. So you can draw this out on the number line if you'd like. Your number line, you know you're past 12, so your number line is going to start with 12, and the furthest it's going to go is 13, because those are the two whole numbers that this number is between, somewhere between 12 and 13. Again, you can cut it into 10 pieces, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And you can find your 3/10 mark, which is 1, 2, 3, and there's 4. So let me mark it with a different color. 1, 2, 3, and here's 4. So 36 is going to be somewhere in between there. So then you look at it in relation to the number line and say this mark right here would be 36/100ths, and it is closer to 12 than it is to 13. So if I'm going to round 12.36 to my nearest whole number, I'm going to round it down to 12. Using the digits, if I look and I'm rounding it to the nearest whole number, this is my whole number. So I'm going to look to the right. The digit to the right of it is 3. That is less than 5. So I'm not going to round up. I'm going to leave it as 12. Okay? Here's another one, 45 and 1/100th. You can do your number line and determine that way. I'm going to use the digits. I'm rounding to the nearest whole number still. So I'm rounding to right here, my ones digit. I look to the right and see it is a 0. So that is less than 5. So I'm going to round it down to 45. You can draw the number line too. No problem. Okay? Let's see. On your practice problems, it does not require the number line. So I will leave that up to you and your parents if you would like to. If you need the number line, please draw it. Okay? Oops. I hope I didn't go off the page completely on that. Okay, there we go. Sorry, as I'm moving my paper. Okay, so now we come to where we've been rounding these decimals on all these problems here. Now we're going to apply the rounding to some math problems. You could estimate the sum, we could estimate the product, you could estimate the quotient, any of those using our rounding. But in this case, it wants us to estimate the sum. We have to remember with our math vocabulary that when we are estimating the sum, we are working with addition, because an addend plus an addend equals a sum. So let's start with our first number, 25 and 4/10. And our second number is 29.9. Let's round those numbers. Looking at 25 to the nearest whole number, I'm going to be rounding this digit. Look to the right, 25.4, 4/10. 4 is less than 5, so I'm going to round that to down to 25. Here, 29.9. look to the right, 9. 9 is 5 or greater, so I'm going to round that up to 30. Now, I am estimating as we talked about, the sum. So I have to add my numbers. 5 plus 0 is 5. 2 plus 3 is 5. So my answer is 55. Okay? Continuing on, we can use to estimate area, just like we did with our mixed numbers on lesson 101. We'll start with our two numbers. Well, first let's remind ourselves, area for a rectangle equals length times width. We have the length and the width given to us in decimal numbers, but our instructions say estimate, so we don't have to multiply those exact decimal numbers. We get to round. So our area, let's take our numbers, 5.2 and 9.8, and look at each one individually. So if we're rounding to the nearest whole number, we're rounding to the ones digit. Look to the right here, I have a 2. So it is less than 5, so I'm going to round that to 5. I have 9 and 8/10, so I look to the right. 8 is 5 or more, so I'm going to round up to 10. Now I'm going to plug those numbers in to my area formula. So my area equals my estimated area. This is not the exact area, this is our best estimate. 10 centimeters times 5 centimeters, which gives us 50 centimeters squared. Okay? So on your practice problems, you will get the chance to round money, like we did on our first example. Here, our first example was money. There will be estimating sums. We did that down here for my example number 3. We rounded to the nearest whole number. That was example number 2. And we got to estimate the product, which we estimated the area for a product. And so you'll get to do those. Your practice problems are on page 538 are your practice problems. And there will be a video coming for lesson 105.